Hello. If you're new here, my name is Al Coleman. I'm a personal trainer and a coach. I've also been practicing Zen Buddhism for a long time, which mostly means I've spent years watching my own mind explain why simple things feel impossible. I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm not an academic. I'm a practitioner. I learned by doing things badly for a long time and paying attention to what actually changes. What I want to do today is step back and explain why I approach coaching and training the way that I do, and why I've continued to stay in this profession even though I don't approach it the way the industry usually does, and even though I have not been a financial success. But why do I talk about Zen at all? Well, before I go into that, I want to say this plainly at the outset. I took lay ordination in the Soto Zen tradition. It doesn't make me a Zen teacher, and it doesn't give me authority over anyone. It means I made a public commitment to practice and to take responsibility for how I live. I'm talking about Zen here not because I want to spiritualize training, but because it's impossible to separate the way I see exercise from the way I see life. If you don't understand that context, a lot of what I say about effort, discipline, and coaching can sound harsher or out of place. Harsher than it actually is, and kind of out of place. So think of this as me explaining the lens before I explain exactly what it is I'm looking at. So what's the central point of Zen? Let me start there. At its center, Zen isn't about calm, belief, or self-improvement. It's about seeing clearly, about seeing reality as it is, clear of your conceptual filters. Seeing how much of our suffering comes from the stories we cling to about who we are, what should be happening, and how things are supposed to feel. It's about seeing how often we try to manage reality instead of meeting it. It's about seeing how the sense of separation between ourselves and the world is something we quietly recreate over and over and over as mental projection. Zen practice is the repeated, unglamorous act of noticing that and not flinching in the face of it. I could sum up Zen practice in one phrase. It would be, don't flinch. That realization is what gives shape to everything else, for my way of seeing. So let me explain something that you may have heard before. It's called the path of the bodhisattva. This is often misunderstood. One, because it's a weird Indian word, so people think it's mystical. It's not. The bodhisattva vow is not a promise to save people necessarily, fix people, or directly improve the world. It is, but there's some paradox there. It's a commitment to not turn away. Not from distraction, not from your own discomfort, not from your own participation in the problem. You take the vow knowing ahead of time you will fail. So you vow to liberate all beings while fully understanding that you can't liberate even one in any final sense. That impossibility is the safeguard. It keeps the vow from becoming kind of an ego project. And this relates, as it relates to the training world, one of the parts of the Buddha's Eightfold Path is right livelihood. So this shows up in very ordinary terms. Right livelihood doesn't mean a holy job or a virtuous profession. It means earning your living in a way that reduces confusion rather than multiplying it. It means not using your work to reinforce stories that keep people stuck or that perpetuate suffering, even if those stories are comfortable or profitable. This is where my work as a trainer comes in. I didn't stay in training because I wanted to sell motivation, improve physiques or provide any type of entertainment or babysitting. I stayed because training is one of the few places where behavior can't hide. You can't hide from yourself. Under a load, people show you exactly how they deal with uncertainty, discomfort, and resistance. It's a direct expression of how they deal with suffering in general. That makes coaching less about instruction, more about practicing. What would we be practicing? Well, in Zen, the practice is wholeheartedness. From the perspective of the bodhisattva vow, my responsibility as a trainer is very, very simple. It's to nudge wholeheartedness out of you and make it visible when it is not there. Wholeheartedness doesn't mean intensity or suffering for its own sake. It means not holding anything back psychologically while pretending that you're fully engaged. It means that there is no part of you that is not engaged in what you are doing. So in practice, that looks like exposing hesitation, pointing out bargaining that people will do, pointing out where their effort quietly drops off. But the personal training industry avoids this. It tends to turn away from anything uncomfortable like this. We're trained to avoid offending people. We're warned not to make clients uncomfortable. There's a whole customer service side to things. There's an underlying fear that if you expose a weakness in a person, you'll lose their business. And you might, but that shows more about their belief system than anything else. But people don't grow if you don't. And if I avoid nudging someone toward wholehearted effort because I'm afraid of the discomfort, I'm not of that social interaction. I'm not acting in their best interest. I'm protecting myself. And from the standpoint of right livelihood, that's a line I don't cross. And so I think it's also important to point out that blunt instruction and compassionate instruction is exposure. It's not necessarily humiliation. This part matters. So exposure as a trainer is simply naming what's already happening to the person there. Humiliation is when you add judgment to it. You add a performance. It adds theater. Exposure sounds like this is where you hesitated, or this is where you backed off. It's nothing more. It's very simple. It's pointing something out. Whether someone chooses to engage with that information, it's in part up to them. The bodhisattva vow doesn't require success in this way, right? So I vow as a trainer to keep pointing these things out, whether it lands or not. I don't get frustrated. I just rinse and repeat. It doesn't require their agreement. It only requires my sincerity. So, to close this loop, this is why I don't see a separation between how I practice and how I coach. Zen isn't something I apply to training. It's the same orientation showing up in a different setting. I'm staying with my work. I'm not turning away from it. And I'm pointing gently, but clearly, to make things obvious so that person has something to work on in the future. That's all I got for today. If this way of thinking resonates with you, you can find more of my work on Instagram at Automated Muscle. Fred Fornicola and I are launching a new podcast project called Atomic Effort, where we will talk honestly about training, behavior, effort, and the things that tend to kind of get skipped when you're trying to sell certainty to people. You can follow that project at Atomic Effort on Instagram. We'll be giving you updates about when that will launch. If you want an honest conversation about training or mentorship, I offer a free 30-minute consultation. The link is in the description box below, as well as the Substack link. Take care for now, and be well.